Hi everyone, Al the Psych here, back to give you some little tidbits, trivia, marginal information in the field of psychology. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about confirmation bias, and I've written out my notes. I have a source from the Britannica. So according to Britannica, says confirmation bias, the tendency to process information by looking for or interpreting information that is consistent with one's existing beliefs. Okay. And what you do then, this results in uh, ignoring other available information. So in my mind, it's also a way of avoiding the feeling of cognitive dissonance. So instead of feeling a conflict between two competing ideas, you can kind of ignore the information that doesn't mesh with your belief and hold on to your belief. Okay. I remember when I would debate with a friend of mine, he would often say that I was cherry picking my data. So, that would be a confirmation bias. I'd look for information that would support uh, my stand, my beliefs. But then he was saying that I was ignoring a lot of other data that was out there. I don't know if that was true or not, but that's what he said. Now, existing beliefs can include one's expectations in a given situation and predictions about a particular outcome. So, people are especially likely to process information to support their own beliefs, especially when that issue is highly important to them, self-relevant to them. If it's something that doesn't really pique your interest, you're not too concerned about, it's like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. But if this is something that you really hold near and dear to you, okay, you might have some blinders on them. Okay. Now, if any of you have ever watched the show called "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia," there's an episode. It's the quarantine episode, and it's in which one of the characters in the show, Dennis, denies he has a virus in spite of all the evidence to the contrary. So, for example, he has, headache, chills, fever, sweats, everything is going on, but he continues to deny that he has a virus. So you would think, okay, then he's got some bias going on, some confirmation bias. Maybe he's just, he's in denial, and even though he's got all these other reasons to say that he has a virus, he's saying no, he does not have a virus. Of course, in this quirky show, he ends up not having a virus but alcohol poisoning. But I think you kind of understand what I'm getting at. Now, in my estimation, confirmation bias, it happens so frequently, and typically it's like it's no big deal if it's not a particularly important subject or issue. But it could become very important depending on the circumstances. So if I borrow from Sunny in Philadelphia again, and point out that, if Dennis in fact had that virus, but he was denying that he had the virus, even though all the symptoms were there, and then he goes to work, he would expose all of his colleagues to the virus, so that could be significant. Here's what some people might say in terms of if they were going through their confirmation bias. They might say, a lot of people drive when they've had a few drinks, and they get home okay. And yeah, okay, I assume that is true. Of course, a lot of people drive when they've had a few drinks and they don't get home okay. So that would be uh, one more example. And we can just, keep on going with them. So I was thinking about this. I've read several instances of when it can be really a problem. So how about the police detective that believes a suspect is guilty and then finds the information to support it while ignoring evidence that points to the individual's innocence, um, as opposed to reviewing all the evidence and letting the evidence lead the detective to, the opinion of guilt or innocence. So we can see the potential ramifications here. And I'm sure, oh, here's another one that I put in my notes. Same goes for a jury. If jurors have made up their mind about a defendant's guilt or innocence um, based on what he or she looks like, either positively or negatively, then evidence is being ignored and a fair trial is not taking place. So again, confirmation bias was already, established, and people could be conceivably ignoring important information that was presented at the trial because they've already got that confirmation bias going on. So you can see the ramifications of how that would be important. Same goes, I'm sure you can kind of come up with your own potential scenarios. I think about it in terms of the medical community. What if a doctor comes up with a um, diagnosis, but he's ignoring some of the um, information that's out there that might indicate an alternative diagnosis. So something to think about. Confirmation bias is something that happens quite a bit. We all do it. Sometimes we have to put our ego in check and actually step back and think, okay, well, wait a minute now. Am I ignoring some information here? Especially if it's something that, you hold very dear to you. So that's it for today. If you've got some comments, go ahead and leave them. If I made some errors or omitted something, go ahead and let me know. Like I always say, um, you know, information can be a little bit marginal, or I could make some mistakes. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. I always just like to say that, and I'm going to actually explain why in another video that I do. So anyway, thanks for watching.